This is America, Bill. So I want you to live it up, stud man. This is the last summer blast.
It's a fast life.
Great party, Bill.
Thanks.
It's a low life.
Who wants something?
I do.
It's a high life. It's a wild life.
Hi, I'm Bill Conrad, and you are...
Not interested.
If you don't get out of here right now, I'm gonna scream.
You won't scream.
I'll scream.
You won't scream.
You said you wanted an adventure. I just can't believe it's with a cop.
You almost got us killed.
Hey, as soon as you're scared, you're dead.
You're the one who needed your freedom.
Well, I didn't know that was an excuse for you to start going out with the entire male race.
Now, from the creators of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, comes something even faster.
Do you like to be my roommate?
I thought you never asked.
They're doing it.
It's casual.
They're saying it.
It's casual.
They're living the wild life.
It's casual.
You blow it! You blow it! You blow it! You blow it!
Welcome to You Blew It. This is the show where we watch turd sandwiches in high definition, reliving our childhoods one Blu-ray disc at a time. My name is Thunder, a.k.a. Camaro Kev, and sitting across the... we don't even have the table anymore.
Nope, no table.
I'm sitting on the recliner. You are sitting on the sofa bed.
I am lounging.
We're both
on this
lounging.
Sofa.
Aaron
fantastic.
Roden. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing okay, man.
Yeah.
Doing okay.
It's been a minute.
I'm sweaty. It's muggy.
It is,
in
yeah.
Seattle.
This is the last of it, though.
I know.
It's going away here,
yeah.
So
school starts in a couple of days.
I was going to say, it's not even a week now, right? It's a couple of days away.
No, just a couple of days away,
Yeah.
man. School's starting again. And in epic fashion,
Yeah?
we're doing something that is, kind of,
Us. I thought your kids, school's starting for them in epic fashion. I was like, oh, what's going on?
Well, you saw the fashion trends.
I
that
did see
my
the
kids
fashion
are sporting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically back to the late 90s.
It is.
What fashion is now again.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
I will tell you that, just bringing up the fact that school starts in 2 days, I still have, I can teleport my brain back to having anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Because back to school.
Yeah.
If there's anything that is great about being an adult is not ever having to worry about that shit ever again.
And having to worry about your wardrobe and what you're going to wear on the first day and stuff like that. I mean, Jesus Christ. I'm
Terrible.
watching my kids go through that now. It's awful. It's awful. I don't want to do it.
No.
They're actually a lot more excited about it than I ever was.
Yeah.
But I can tell the anxiety over it is still kind of festering under the underneath. Yeah.
Well, so we watched The Wildlife, 1984's The Wildlife.
Yes.
Written by Cameron Crowe, directed by Art Linson, starring the kid from Weird Science. I forget his name already. I know.
Elon Mitchell something.
Yeah, Michael Ian Mitchell Smith or something like that.
Elon Mitchell Smith. Yeah.
Which everyone knows that kid from Weird Science, and that's about it, right?
Or the Chocolate War.
Yeah, whatever that is. He and we find out just from watching the interview with him on the extras on the disc that he gave up acting fairly quickly because he just wasn't into it.
By the way, one of the best interviews that I've seen on one of these Kino Lorber releases, it was fantastic, man.
Seems like a really cool dude, and just totally is very straightforward about what his experience was like when he was a teen actor. And
I mean, he straight up says I was not a good actor.
Yeah, he said he was discovered because he was in ballet, and they he had a look that they wanted for this film.
Yeah,
and that's that. So so this movie's growing up, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I don't know how many times you've seen it, and it's a legendary movie, right?
Yes.
So it basically kicked off the career of Cameron Crowe, and I don't know. I don't have his filmography in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that came out in 83, maybe. Fast Times, and so
let me look it up.
It's 82, 83, and maybe even older than that. But and this is 84, so I remember renting
Fast Times at Ridgemont High was 82.
82.
Yep.
So this comes out 2 years later.
Right.
I remember my brother, of course, everything about the show oftentimes hinges on my older brother knowing cool things. He's 4 years older than me. So he rented this movie, The Wildlife. He's like, hey, it's the same guys that did Fast Times. And I was like, oh, it's got to be great. It is not great.
So you had seen this before. I didn't know you had seen this before.
So I had seen it a long time ago.
Okay.
And then that's why I purchased it because, like I said...
Oh, you bought this?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, it's got many meanings. I mean, Eddie Van Halen did the soundtrack, and you know me and Van Halen.
Yes.
I fucking love.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Van Halen t-shirt as we speak about the soundtrack to this movie. So... and the thing was, there's so much music. This had like a huge soundtrack, like was the case with a lot of Cameron Crowe movies, right? Like that was the big deal for him.
Right.
Fast Times had a big soundtrack. Later on, when he did Singles, the movie about Seattle and the grunge scene, he had his finger on the pulse of that music before it was even a thing. So he loves these soundtracks. And the crazy thing about this movie is it's not this version, but there was a version when this came out that had Billy Idol, Huey Lewis, Madonna, who else am I? Bananarama,
Prince. Yep.
There was we watched the end credits of this movie.
A few Jimi Hendrix tunes and stuff.
Yeah.
And
did any of the Hendrix shit?
Yeah, there was. I think just Foxy Lady and maybe one other.
And then, of course, Steppenwolf with Born to Be Wild. That opens the fucking movie.
Right. But yeah, in this version, like you can see all the credits to the music that was in the other version of the movie, but not in this one because the licensing probably was way out of reach.
Oh, yeah.
For Kino Lorber.
This is why this movie, well, one, it's terrible.
This movie is so bad.
It's so bad. But you never saw it in reruns hardly because from what I've read, the music rights got to be such a problem for this movie.
Sure.
So this version of this movie...
I believe it, too, because most of those artists that we just listed...
Madonna, Prince...
huge. Crazy huge.
Yeah.
Around this time. And,
And if you're Universal...
How are you going to pay for that?
If you're Universal, would you be like, hey, let's put this movie out and update the rights for the music for this movie?
This dog shit movie that we have.
That flop, did not do well, and no one really remembers outside of a weirdo like Camaro Kev and Lake Stevens.
Well, let's go down the list of amazing actors in this movie.
Yeah.
We have Eric Stoltz.
Yep.
We have Leah Thompson.
Yep.
We have Chris Penn. We have Jenny Wright. We have
Randy
Rick
Quaid.
Moranis.
Randy Quaid has
a bit part. Sherilyn Fenn has a bit part.
Who's
Ron Wood from Rolling Stones has a bit part in it. He plays the refrigerator raider.
Yep.
Nancy Wilson.
I thought it was
of Heart has a bit part.
Who Cameron Crowe was married to for a minute.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Ben Stein. Lee Ving has a bigger than a bit part in this. Lee Ving was the front man for the hardcore punk band.
He plays the cable guy in this.
Plays the cable guy. I mean, it's fucking insane, dude.
Now,
huge list. Robert Ridgely plays Craig Davis. He plays the kind of sleazy apartment manager
who was in Boogie Nights.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been in a ton of shit too. You recognize him if you saw him,
like a big character actor.
Yeah.
That's why he was in Boogie Nights.
Right.
You've got the dude who plays the shyster cocaine addict in Die Hard.
Yeah, what was his name again?
Damn it, you got me. He plays a cop. He's perfectly cast as this cop in this movie.
He really is. Yeah,
he's such a creep.
His name is Hart Bachner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, the recipe for making a fantastic, like, coming of age, titty romp,
the
the recipe is there. Like, everything should have fallen into place with this. However, I think Cameron Crowe, I mean, basically this is like the pre-Singles movie.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Singles came out in 90, 91.
Was it that early?
No, probably 92. I could be wrong.
But like, I mean, it's definitely not a comedy, right? Would this be considered a comedy? I guess it would.
Well, is Fast Times at Ridgemont High considered a comedy? It's a teen comedy / drama is what it is, because it deals with real life topics.
Yes.
But in an absurd kind of way.
Yeah, but this is not
over the top
this is
characters.
not super absurd, though, don't you?
It is not, and I think the problem is that he was trying to make it somewhat of a serious coming of age movie, like you said.
Yeah, but
they probably
tried to wedge in comedy into
they probably told them like, hey, you can't flat out do that, so you gotta put some boobies in here.
Yeah,
because 84 would be right around the time of like Porky's and that sort of stuff too.
Right.
And that stuff was big, so it was probably like you got to make it funnier and you got to put some boobs in here, which are plenty of boobs in this movie actually, because they do go to a strip club for a stag party, which is always crazy to me when someone calls it a stag party. What are we in? Are we in Canada? Or are we in the 1930s? What's going on here?
Right.
Literally at this time, there's a movie called Bachelor Party.
Right. Which, by the way, is great.
Yeah.
With Tom Hanks.
Because
fantastic.
That had to come out around this time, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah. What's funny about this movie, too, is Leah Thompson must have gone from this, or I wonder which was first, Back to the Future or this, but...
Oh, I guarantee it was, this was
first. Because I think Back to the Future came out in like 85. And what's funny is Eric Stoltz was originally cast as Michael J. Fox's character in, famously, notoriously. And so this is kind of funny to see they play boyfriend and girlfriend in this, although they're broken up for half the movie.
Yeah, ex-boyfriend, girlfriend. The problem with there's many problems with this movie, but it's like, but the main problem is that there's no fucking plot. It just whatsoever. I mean, it's just a series of like, you're following these people, these different characters around.
Yeah.
Right? Like right before school starts.
Yes. And it bounces from like the main characters, which is what is his name? I can't even remember his fucking name. Jim in the movie. I'm just going to say Jim.
Yeah.
The 14-year-old kid in the movie.
Jim Conrad. He's the younger brother of Eric Stoltz's character, who is Bill Conrad. Yeah.
Bill Conrad has graduated high school. He's moving out. He's trying to be a man and be on his own, right?
Yeah.
So
got an apartment at this swanky place in LA.
His younger brother is a little troubled. He's obsessed with the Vietnam War, which I knew tons of kids. JD, probably not to the extent of this kid, but was really obsessed with military and the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Growing up in the 80s, that was a very common thing. So, I would say that like Cameron Crowe was, very clearly like he usually was like the zeitgeist. He knew kind of what the kids were doing. Because at this point, he was probably in his 20s, would be my guess.
Yeah.
When he wrote this. So he probably, hadn't been far removed from this life. And of course, notoriously, when he did Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it was a piece, I believe, in Rolling Stone. He went undercover. He was still young enough to look like a high school student. And he went to high school for a minute. And that's where he got the ideas for that movie.
Really?
I believe so.
Wow.
If all those rumors are true.
That's pretty incredible.
And since I'm saying it is true, so go ahead and spread that. That's exactly what happened in the creation of Fast Times.
Oh my God.
So obviously with this, it was like, okay, I'm going to keep doing a coming of age movie. But the weird thing is
it just falls apart though. Nothing feels really real.
No.
Because there's major disconnects in some of these characters. Like, for instance, the very first scene is Jim Conrad, little Jimmy Conrad, breaking into the high school with a boombox that's blaring Born to Be Wild. So first of all, he's walking around these empty halls just with a boombox that's just fucking blasting. And then he sits down right next to the principal's door, the principal's office door.
Yeah.
And lights up a cigarette, sings "Born to Be Wild,"
cracks
and
a Schlitz malt liquor.
Schlitz Tall Boy.
Yeah, well, malt liquors were basically tall boys back then, right? Like, and that's the one. I think it's Schlitz because it's got the blue or purple bowl on the can.
Maybe.
As a kid, that can.
I think it's blue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's blue. It's as a kid, it's seared into my brain.
Really?
I've never seen a Schlitz malt liquor anywhere. I don't think they make it anymore, as far as I know.
God, I would hope they don't.
Never had one, but as a kid, I remember seeing the can everywhere.
Yeah.
But
like that's the first thing you see in this movie, and you're left going, what the fuck is happening?
And of course,
like, who does that?
The school. I love this too. Were there ever overnight security guards at schools? Was that ever a thing?
Oh, I'm sure.
Do you think
in a big high school?
You think
Probably.
so? Not anymore though, right?
But like in a city, I would imagine.
Well, maybe.
I would imagine.
Just a weird. It's just like I just love in movies, especially back then, how every business, school, whatever,
everybody had a security guard.
Had a night security guard.
Yeah.
Like, So of course he comes in and says, "Son, you got to turn the music down."
Yeah, but what the fuck was the point?
Music starts in a week.
This kid is so anti-establishment. Why would he even just be like going to drink a beer and sing fucking "Born to Be Wild" and play air guitar? By the way,
yes, that's right.
In the hallway.
Yeah. This is what I told you when it was happening. I was like, I always have a problem with scenes like this because you need to have someone else there with him. He probably should have had his little buddy with him.
Yeah.
Because he has this little,
that would have been way better.
This little clinger who's obsessed with him.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense, but I never get that in
or
movies.
Or if they're going to be like doing graffiti on the...
whatever.
Yeah.
Like he should have his kid there, this little buddy, who would be like, "Jim, I don't think we should be doing this," or whatever. And he was like, "What? Why are we doing this?" Well, in that case, it would be for Jim to look cool with his little clinger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But in
that
this,
would be perfect.
It's purely for the audience. And I hate this in movies. I was telling that to you. I was like,
right.
Why are they doing this other than for us to watch?
Yes.
No kid would do this. No kid's like, well, I'm by myself. I mean, he might shit bomb the place. He might eventually the scene ends with him blowing the head off of a statue of the school mascot
with a pipe bomb.
With a pipe bomb.
Yeah.
That I get.
Sure.
But he would not have broken into the school
sense.
to have a cool scene like this before he blew the head off of the fucking...
Right.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
Yeah. Meanwhile, his older brother is working at a bowling alley. I don't know if you said that already.
No, we didn't. Which apparently back then you could make a pretty decent living to where you could go get your own apartment by working at a bowling alley.
Well, actually, you probably could.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we don't know where this takes
place. Rent
place.
was not as expensive as it is today, man. Like, that's part of the problem. Right?
I don't know. I honestly doubt that you could work the cash register of a bowling alley and spraying the shoes with disinfectant and make enough money. Because he's like, this has got to be California. They don't say it. I don't know where the movie takes place, but there's...
I mean, it looks like California.
It's got to be California.
There's somewhere in California.
They're at a donut place, which, you know... Donut places like this were like kind of born in California, if I'm not mistaken. Like this kind of donut shop, was very big in California, like Winchell's and that sort of thing. So we're saying that we got it playing in the background. That's why this kind of donut shop. Those fucking donuts look great in the background too.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Do you remember
just racks of donuts?
Oh, going into a donut place like this back in the day, just racks of donuts.
Yeah.
That maple bar that this dude holds up here looks like dog shit though, and it's got maple on both sides. The shot, it's like it doesn't make sense. I know.
So in the first like what half an hour, you're still basically getting introduced to like characters in the movie.
Yeah.
That's another problem with this thing is that there's way too many fucking characters.
Well, but there isn't though, because an ensemble movie like Dazed and Confused or whatever, a movie that knows what they're doing.
They never really all come together though either.
No,
right?
It's terrible.
It's like a web of connections.
It's your two main characters is the brothers, Jim and Bill or whatever, Billy.
Right.
And then Billy's friend Tommy, who is kind of seeing this other woman who works at a department store with Rick Moranis, who's her boss.
Yeah.
You've got Leah Thompson, who Bill broke up with because he's, she's still in high school. He just graduated. He doesn't want to date her anymore. I believe that's a plot line in Fast Times.
Okay, hold on just a second, because there are some fucking holes with that plot line.
Let's go back to it because let's just talk about the characters.
All right, sorry.
Those, and then you've got Jimmy, and he's got his little buddy.
Yeah.
And then you've got the friend of Bill, the Chris Penn character, Tommy, who's dating this girl that works at the department store with Rick Moranis.
Yeah, played by Jenny Wright.
So those are the plot lines we're following. What's going on, but like what's going on with their lives, basically, is what. And I should say plot with quotes, because there really isn't much of a plot at all. But it's them dealing with work and relationships. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. That's it.
And then you've got the weird Jimmy, the young kid, who's being rebellious and is into the Vietnam War, who has this guy named Charlie, played by Randy Quaid, who
you don't meet until basically the end of the movie.
You hear him constantly talked about.
Yes.
And when you meet him, it gets very dark and weird.
Very, very, very dark.
Okay, so go back to what you want.
Okay, so one of the huge plot hole is the age of Eric Stoltz's character, Bill.
I wouldn't say it's huge.
Well, but I mean, it looms large in my mind, because like there are several scenes where he alludes to being, he flat out says that he's 19.
He does say that, right?
And then he's talking to his brother and says, "You're 15, like, you got to go to school and stuff like that," because his brother Jimmy doesn't want to go to school. He goes, "You're 15," and he's like, "Well, you're not going to school." He's like, "I graduated. I'm 5 years older than you," so that would make him 20.
So this is why I don't think it's that big of a plot line, because plot hole, because 19, 20, I mean, it's still within a year.
Sure, but and then maybe a couple 10 minutes later in the movie too, he says that he's only or that he alludes to being 18 again.
Yes. He is from anywhere from 18 to 20, which is within 2 years of each other.
Yeah, but still.
It is weird. It is weird. He probably should be, 18 probably.
I would say, yeah.
He had just graduated,
19.
right?
He should be almost 19.
He should be almost 19.
Yeah.
If we're going just by like usually age and
Sure.
But here's the thing. I don't think they ever say his younger brother's age in the movie.
Well, they say he's 15.
They do?
Yeah, Eric Stoltz. In the
Does he
scene
say
we're
you're
watching
15,
right
or
now,
you're going to
says
be
you're
15? Okay. Because the kid the actor that plays him said he was 14 at the time when he made this movie. So, but yeah, they play loosey-goosey with that.
Yeah.
Leah Thompson, who's still in high school and is seeing this cop ever since Billy broke up with her.
Yeah.
This cop stops by her donut shop that she works at, and he basically just wants to have sex. Because he's a dirtbag.
Yeah.
And then you find out,
and they fuck. They fuck in the back of the donut shop.
Yeah, and at some point towards the end of the movie, Billy comes in and he's like, "Hey, I could call him in. I could call your ass in because you're having sex with a high schooler, right?
Right.
So which we would assume then she's 17."
Yes.
Right? Because if she was 18, as creepy and gross as it is, it's not illegal.
But there's also a scene where Eileen and Leah Thompson's character are driving in the car together, and Eileen says pretty much the same thing, like, he could get he could arrest you because you're underage.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, which again suggests that she's 17, right?
Yeah. Which, that's, but that is very much a kid thing to say, though.
Yeah,
because
it's
like, in no way would he be like, yeah, I was boning this chick. She's 17, so she shouldn't have been boning me, so I got to arrest her. Like, what?
Yeah. No, it makes no sense.
Yeah. But, that would, kids don't know. Okay, well, let's.
I fucking hated this movie. How are we gonna explain what happens in this movie?
We don't really need to.
I don't think we need to
I don't
either.
think we need to.
Let's just talk about some of the bullshit stuff that happens in here.
Well,
like Tommy's a fucking creep. Let's talk about Tommy for.
So that's where I was going to go because we're watching the scene right now where Tommy, played by Chris Penn, is creeping. He's literally hanging outside of Eileen's window, peeping-tomming her, right?
Yeah, just waiting for her to take her breasts out, which he does.
Which, in movies like this, they seem to think. I don't know. Does that go away? Sorry, the thing came up on your PS4 or whatever. Sorry, taking everyone out of the moment. The thing about these movies where it's like it's okay because they used to date, so it's totally cool if he's a creep outside her window. Do you know what I mean? Like, movies of the 80s.
These two characters have problems, man, because she is like, she seems like she's kind of, she's a little bit punk rock. She's a little bit
new wavy
like
punk rock.
New wavy stuff, stuff going on. And he's just a fucking meathead.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like a pretty well-known wrestler.
He's a jock.
He's a wrestler.
Yeah, but he's like the dumbest of jocks.
Yeah, and it's quite obvious.
There's so many parts where this guy eats a fucking cigarette butt.
There's so many people in this movie that where they eat cigarette butts.
Was that happening?
I don't know. One guy
was that happening a lot in the 80s?
I don't know. One guy takes he's got a cigarette, he flips it, turns it around to where the ashing side is inside his mouth, and he sucks in and blows. So much of that going on, eating a joint.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And it's clear that Chris Penn is put in this movie because of his brother Sean, who played Spicoli. You know that either the studio or somebody was like, you got to give me a Spicoli character for this movie.
Right. Well, why don't we just get Spicoli's brother?
And he's got this ridiculous bleach blonde hair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he looks like shit.
It looks like absolute shit. There's
I'll tell you what, he looks a lot
likable about the character.
No, not at all.
Zero.
There's zero redeeming qualities. And so Eric Stoltz, he finally talks Eric Stoltz's character, or Bill, into letting him be his roommate because Eric is having trouble paying his rent, right?
Yes.
So this goes back to what we were talking about before. He was having trouble.
He was having trouble. You're right. Yeah. So what happens? He gets this apartment, which they make out to be a dump in the movie.
But it's run by this weird, this didn't really ring true to me either. It's run by an apartment manager, a building manager that's really sleazy and talks him into renting a different place.
A different place that's $100 more. $100 more rent a month or something.
It's we're apartment managers actually doing shit like that? I don't know.
And then you go inside, and there's the classic thing in movies where there's, did this ever really happen? Where someone had hung pictures and there's just stains around, that.
Actually, yes. I rented a place in college where we had to, we rented it, and then the building manager had to paint the walls before we got in there because the people that lived there before us used so many candles that it created soot on the walls when when they took everything off the walls, their posters and shit. There were marks where the fucking posters were.
I just know
that does happen.
That is a classic thing that you'd see in cartoons or TV shows of the 80s, where there's you go into a dump and there's all these, you can see where pictures were being hung on the wall because of dirt or grime.
It is based on truth.
Okay.
So, may not happen as often.
So when he first goes to the complex, the sleazebag guy goes, "Hey, I got a better room for you. It's way down here at the end of the hall." Which you find out later on in the movie that it's actually a bigger room. That's why he's paying more money for it.
Right.
Which is pretty funny too. He moves into a place by himself. He's got a 2-bedroom because when Tommy moves in, Tommy pulls a fast one and kicks him out of the master bedroom and makes him move into the smaller bedroom.
Makes me so
angry. You got so angry with that shit.
I'm so fucking angry with
but
that character.
But at the end of the day,
Bill's such a pushover.
Until the end of the movie, though, because the end of the movie, he stands up to this guy. He stands up to the cop. That's the whole. At least his. It's very, very limited of a story arc for Bill. But at the end, Bill is standing up for himself, basically, and he kind of lets go, right? Because they have this gigantic party. They bust down the wall, going into the neighbors, and this guy. The building manager comes in the next day and goes, lawsuit, and like leaves.
Well, he was, so the way I understood that was that he was saying, because he asked the two guys, Tommy and
was anyone
Billy,
hurt?
Was anyone hurt? And they said no. And he's like, that's too bad. Because lawsuit. Like he could have sued them or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was like, I'm going to sue you.
No, I don't think so.
I didn't quite understand.
He was hoping somebody got hurt so that he could bring a lawsuit against them.
Got it. But he could bring a lawsuit anyways.
Yeah.
You completely trashed you broke down a fucking wall.
Broke a wall into the neighboring apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end, Bill's like, whatever. Well, actually, what he should have said, since they said it through the entire movie trying to make this a thing, it's casual. It's casual.
We hear that in the first like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
From Tommy's character.
Tommy's character, he constantly says it's casual.
It's casual.
Yeah.
Which makes no fucking sense.
Which makes no sense.
Because he's saying it in the context of like somebody not wanting to like hang out with him or his girlfriend like pushing him out of the store or something like that. It's casual.
I think he means...
What the fuck does that mean?
I think it means like it's no big deal.
I guess.
Yeah.
But
it's really dumb. It's really dumb. But I mean, that was
a big deal.
That was a prime spot at the end of the fucking movie where he go, it's casual. But he doesn't.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because at the end, he kind of doesn't care. He's like, whatever, man. And he's like, you're a legend now. You threw this big party. And it's like, you really think so? And they do this like fist bump. And then he goes and drops his now girlfriend again, Leah Thompson, off at school, and says like, oh, I'll have another apartment by the end of the day. I'm still going to... I'm not going to move back home. So it's like he's turned a new leaf, right?
Right.
He doesn't.
Right.
He's a go with the flow kind of guy, man. It's casual now. It's casual. It's a go with the flow, Sort of, I guess.
Good Lord. Then we go back. This movie just goes back and forth between different storylines going on in between characters.
But not really, though. It's just basically them hanging out. There's no storyline for half this shit. Especially
I know, but it's like...
Especially the little shit here, Jim. All Jimmy. Jim does is bounce around from scene to scene like trying to be cool in front of this girl.
Right.
That's the whole plot line for him.
Yes. But it's like the dumbest cool.
This other kid just ate a cigarette again.
And he's chewing on it.
So this dude... So this girl that he's into, he goes and talks to, and the guy that she's with at the bowling alley comes over and goes, you know this guy? And then he like takes a cigarette, flicks it at Jim.
Yeah. Jim then picks it up, takes a toke on it, and then puts it out on his hand.
And throws it back at the other guy.
And the other guy grabs it and fucking eats it. And then
fucking dumb.
The scene ends with him literally chewing on the cigarette butt.
Yeah.
And putting his arm around the girl.
Yeah, continuing to chew on it.
Later on, Jimmy sees the girl again getting kind of like her boyfriend, who's just this fucking meathead of a dude.
He looks like he's got
like,
it's terrible to say, but it looks like he's got like fetal alcohol or something. Dude.
Yes,
he looks really weird. I mean,
to a certain extent, yes.
I don't know how to,
but like,
how to fix your deal here.
And he like lays down in front of their car.
Yeah,
like. And just lays, and he's got his boombox going and everything like that, and he just lays down in the fucking alleyway in front of the car.
And the car's like starts driving like it's gonna run over him, and then swerves at the last second. And then he says to his little crony,
just stupid shit like that this kid keeps on doing. It's fucking infuriating.
And he says to his little clinger sycophant friend, "Did she laugh? Did she laugh?" And he's like, "No."
He's like, "No." He's like, good.
Okay, so back to Tommy for a second, too.
Yeah, Tommy's kind of the main character of this movie. I think he gets the most screen time out of everybody.
I think you're right.
Don't you think?
I think you're right. I think if it comes to screen time, it's got to be either him or Jimmy. Jim gets a lot of screen.
Yeah, Jim
screen
gets a
time
lot of
too.
screen time too. But I think it's Chris Penn. I think it's Tommy.
I think you're right. Now, I don't understand.
And there's no redeeming qualities.
There's
to
no
this
redeeming
character
qualities to
at all.
Tommy
at all. He's constantly cheating on his girlfriend.
Yep.
He's constantly a piece of shit to his friend Bill.
Yep. Correct.
And he's a total liar too, because he tells his friends that he's going to marry Eileen, right?
This
Jenny
is
Wright's
where I was going to go to
character.
this. Like, what is the point of this plot? I don't understand it.
They're wrestlers. He constantly hanging out with these two guys that
For
are
comic
also on the
relief.
wrestling team that are for comic relief, and they're always wearing singlets.
Yeah. And
everywhere they go,
their thing is doing headbutts, like
headbutts, and
headbutting each
then
other
punching each other's fists.
fists. And it's not even a fist bump. It's actually you're right,
they
punching.
punch. They punch them.
What I don't understand is why all of a sudden he wants to marry her.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because he's constantly like trying to get in other girls' pants. Right?
Yeah.
But what's the point of him chasing Eileen? It makes no sense whatsoever.
No.
Like, she even looks like the type of girl that's kind of not his type anyway.
Yeah.
Because he keeps on going after these, like, you know, like strippers and you know.
Yeah. And the girl
classically 80s beautiful women.
The girl from Twin Peaks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever her name is, she ends up being the dead body, right?
No, she was not the.
She's the cousin.
She was the cousin.
Yeah, but she played both roles, right? I think. I don't know.
Did she?
I don't know the show
I can't
well
remember
enough.
either.
Yeah. I guess the only thing I could think of is that he's basically like, because I think she kind of dumped him, so now I think he thinks, well, if I propose to her, she can't say no, like, because that's that means I'm really committed. I don't know. I that's the only thing I can think of, but it's so dumb because he's telling his friends, like, we're engaged, we're gonna have this stag party, and it's like the whole reason I guess he wants to be engaged is so he can have a stag party.
I think that's the deal, right? He wants to go to that strip club.
Well, then just fucking go to the strip club.
Well, right.
Who cares about a stag party?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Which, that whole scene,
Oh my God.
he ends up having his stag party at the strip club, and it's him, Bill, and his two wrestling meathead buddies.
Yeah.
They get to the strip club. There's a big bouncer there who basically knows they're underage. And he's like, okay.
And that's the second time this has happened in the movie too, because he tries to buy alcohol in the first scene.
And everybody knows him because he's this famous wrestler.
Right.
Which
I love this shit.
I love that shit too. Was there, like,
famous high school wrestler?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, I watched the state championships.
Yeah.
You did great.
Maybe if you're in Ohio or what is it? Iowa. If you're in Iowa,
Yeah, but then it would still be
would know
football. It'd be football.
No, but Iowa's like huge wrestling. Like,
Really?
yeah, Nebraska, Iowa, all the what is it, like the Corn Belt or whatever. It's like there I could maybe see that, but like this guy's in L.A. or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is L.A.
Oh yeah,
and they all know him as the like big hot shit wrestler. No one gave a shit about wrestling.
Nobody
back then.
Nobody.
If you're the the best basketball player, maybe. But you're fucking wrestling, and I come from Lake Stevens, where wrestling is huge. But no, I don't.
I went to high school in Paulsbo, Washington.
Was wrestling huge over there?
No.
So wrestling was huge at Lake Stevens. Like, we were notorious for going to state every year and all this stuff. But I don't know anybody like talking about individuals within wrestling. That
Right.
Remember, like, your average person is like, oh, you went to regionals. I saw you at regionals. Like, they keep saying that in this movie.
Right.
Like, you're Tommy Wheeler or whatever. You're at regionals last year.
Yeah.
So the guy in the strip club basically goes, it's going to cost you this much. Don't touch the strippers.
Right.
Which, gee, I wonder what Tommy does.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadow.
Tommy They sit down next to a group of older guys
who are super annoyed.
Yeah, because Tommy like sits down, like bumps into one of the guys and stuff like that, and is continually like bumping into that guy throughout the evening.
So you get to see some boobs there.
Yeah.
You got to see Eileen's.
But wait a minute. Let's not skip over this one because this older woman comes out, older stripper. We looked her up. She's got a film credit.
You looked her up. I didn't. You didn't tell me.
She's in the cast. Well, I'm not going to do it again. But
what else was she in?
She was famous for her 44. This is what I remember her IMDb saying. She was famous for her 44 plus bust.
She was very busty.
Very busty.
And they made a big deal of it.
They made a huge deal out of it. And she was going nuts. Yeah. She was going absolutely nuts. Apparently, she was some sort of like famous like exotic dancer or something like that. And her husband was kind of worked in film and would put her in all of his movies.
Got it.
So I don't know if her husband was the director of this one or not, but she was just completely overacting the whole time, her whole part, and just like, you know, as this like fight ensues because Tommy keeps bumping into one of the guys and then literally like jumps on the stripper and puts his face and sucks on her boob.
Yeah, doesn't he do a Bronski? Is that what that's called? He goes right in between.
Yeah, but there's a part too. He's just like chomping on her nipple.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Fucking hated this movie.
It
felt like it was 3 hours long.
It is so slow
because it went nowhere.
It is so slow.
It went nowhere.
Yeah. So a big fight ensues in the strip club, and they get kicked out. And where does it? And what happens with that? Nothing. In fact, the next day, they're sitting at the pool. That's what I was going to say about this building. The building's got an awesome pool.
Yeah.
So
courtyard pool.
It looks like everyone hangs out there. It's a good time every day there. That's the one thing that was like, okay, this place is a dump, but then you go out to the pool and it's legit. It's not, you know, like oftentimes in these movies like this where it's like they get into the place and you find out that everything's broken down and terrible.
Yeah.
But no,
nothing works.
Yeah. But the pool is pretty sweet. So he constantly is hanging out the pool, and this time it's he and Tommy the next day, and Tommy says, "Look, man, we didn't even get arrested. They let us go." And I was like,
it's like everything. It's everything in this movie. Nothing goes anywhere.
Nothing goes anywhere.
Nothing means anything.
There's no consequences for anything.
There's no consequences for anybody's actions. It just goes fucking nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, it really does. Okay, so the Jimmy storyline, if we can call it that, ends with him taking his little buddy to meet Charlie.
Right. Finally. Because we're talking about Charlie throughout the movie, right? Charlie is supposed to be some, like, Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
And, like, for the longest time, too, during this movie, I just thought Charlie was not real. Like, he's just telling his buddy like a tall tale.
That's what I thought it was going to, like, when I first watched this or whatever. It's like he's just making up this guy to seem cool.
Right.
And we should also one of the vignettes that happens here is Jimmy goes into a army surplus store.
Oh yeah,
which we were talking about
with Bill Stein.
Bill. Is it Bill Stein?
Is that what's? Yeah, Bill Stein.
Win Will Stein's money. What is it? No.
Win Bill Stein's money.
Is that what it was? His name is Bill Stein. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
The comedian, the guy that's Bueller.
Ben Stein.
Bueller. He's in this. He plays the shop, the guy at the cashier at the army surplus store.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how that was such a thing back in the day.
It really was.
Yeah.
I remember wanting to go to all of the army surplus stores. There was a huge one in Seattle, too, downtown Seattle in like Belltown.
I remember that shit. I totally
they had a bomb
on
the outside of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally
right next to the
forgot
front door.
about that. Yeah, that was a huge. So where I grew up in Winlock early on down in Chehalis, you had Sunburns and Yardbirds, which I both believe started as army surplus stores, but still had a section of the store.
Yep.
Where they had army.
Same one with the Yardbirds in Enumclaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a scene there where he goes in there and tries to buy all this stuff, and Ben Stein's like, "You're a kid, I can't sell you this stuff."
Right.
But he rips off like a
smoke bomb or some shit.
It's not though, because it ends up blowing up underneath the car of the
It just looked like a butane canister.
Yeah, it did. It looked like a butane canister.
Yeah, I think is probably what it was, right?
I mean, you could not buy explosives in an army surplus.
No, they were all duds.
They were all duds. They all
yeah.
emptied them out.
Yeah,
and it was like,
I had one. We bought like grenade shells at the army.
Well, the
surplus
classic
store.
would be like one of those giant guns that were on, and you'd get the shell from that, right? And you'd see a hole where they drilled in it and emptied out all the gunpowder.
Right, yeah.
And so all the charge is gone. So there's a scene, and purely all this scene is for later on in the movie when this cop gets his car blown up. And Jimmy sees, I think her name's Anita, right? I
think so. Yeah, that's Leah Thompson's
character.
Yeah.
So Jimmy stops in and grabs donuts, and they know each other because his brother dated her or whatever. But he's noticing this cop who keeps coming around.
Right.
And at one point, the cop tells him, "You shouldn't be smoking," and he pulls the cigarette out of his mouth and says, "You're too young." And so that's all Jimmy was like. You're a scumbag. You're a dirtbag. I'll remember that. I'm going to go to an army surplus store, buy a bomb of some sort, an IED of some sort, and put it under your car next time you're at the donut shop. And when you drive off, it's going to blow up. You're going to wreck your car right into the donut city sign.
Right. And then this is where Bill gets his balls drop.
Yeah.
And he finally sticks up for himself.
He goes
because he's pissed off that his ex-girlfriend, who he broke up with, is dating somebody else.
Which is a classic immature thing, right?
Yes.
But then come to find out that the guy that she is seeing is this scumbag cop.
Yeah, but Bill's kind of a scumbag too, because he also is like super jelly over Anita dating somebody else. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but of course, but that's just being a young dumb kid. The cop fucking a 17-year-old is way fucking.
Well, yes, that is definitely worse. That is definitely worse.
I would have to say this is fairly true. Like, I remember not knowing how to handle anything remotely close to a relationship with another lady.
Sure.
Pretty much all the way through my 20s. So it was like, it's like basically like, yeah, I kind of want to date you, but I kind of don't, because I kind of want to go and be a 20-something-year-old kid and be stupid and not have to be tied down in any way.
And then your ex gets a partner before you do, and you're like, what the fuck? I want you back.
I kind of remember that. Like, God damn it, dude. I broke up with her, but now she's seeing some other dude that I don't like.
Yeah.
That's kind of a classic thing. But I mean, I don't think Bill's that bad in this movie.
No, Bill's not that bad, but he does kind of come off as a little bit creepy when he first finds out that she's dating somebody.
Yeah, he comes in there
and
says
directly to the donut shop and was like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?"
And she's like, "Well, you broke up with me, dummy. So I'm not going to sit around waiting for you." So,
but again, I just want to say real quick before I lose this thought is that I'm realizing right now that there are no redeeming qualities to the two main characters. There's no redeeming qualities to Tommy. There's no redeeming qualities to Jimmy either. Jimmy just seems like a little punk little bitch.
And that's...
Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. When the movie ends, they are all showing up to the first day of school. Right? So Tommy is still a high schooler.
Right.
We find out at the end of the movie during the big party, his dad shows up at the party and goes, "Where the hell have you been, Tommy?" And he's like, "Dad, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "You didn't tell us you were moving out." And he's like, and he pulls him out of the party.
We've been worried sick about you.
We've been worried sick about you. So Tommy's still in high school.
Right.
Jimmy's in high school. Leah Thompson's in high school.
Bill's not.
The only one who is not in high school.
Right.
So at the end of the movie, it ends with the first day of school. Right. And Bill is dropping off Leah Thompson because now they're back together. And Tommy drives up alongside
Eileen
and is like, "I'm going to drive you to
history
class," which is what the fucking driving. What is this, campus? Like, what is going on here? They're walking into the school.
It's ridiculous.
And she's like, "No, I don't think so." And he goes and grabs her.
Yeah.
And puts her in the car, and she's like, "Ha ha ha ha."
This doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And then they drive off.
And then Jimmy.
And I think we're supposed to think that because he tells Eileen, "I'm a changed man.
I'm a changed man."
It's like you just had this fucking party where you're trying to get in the pants of 3 different women at your party. including fucking Twin Peaks lady.
Twin Peaks lady, who
Sherilyn Fenn,
who is basically like, no, I don't think we should do this, and he keeps unzipping.
He keeps unzipping her like he's a total fucking creep.
Total fucking creep.
Total creep.
The whole movie, he keeps saying to her that he's going to be faithful and committed to her, and then does
the complete opposite.
And then at the end of the movie, he does the exact same thing again. Right. But for some reason, we're supposed to like, oh, this time he's
really changed. He's really changed.
Makes no sense.
He just loves Eileen.
Jimmy ends up going and meeting. We get to meet Charlie finally. It's played by Randy Quaid.
Oh yeah,
who's this Nam vet who has PTSD.
Let's talk about this scene.
It's so fucking totally different than anything in the movie.
Yes.
So they come in. The dude's zoned out watching TV.
Yeah, Jimmy finally brings his little buddy over to Charlie's house.
And Charlie is,
he's fucked up, man.
He's fucked up.
He is fucked up.
Got to give it to Randy Quaid. He plays the role pretty well.
Yeah. And Elon Mitchell, who plays Jimmy, like in his interview, he's talking about like working with like, all these other famous actors and stuff in this role. And like he says about Randy Quaid, like Randy Quaid was like a method actor, and like was super weird on
he
set.
put a cigarette, so he
like put a cigarette out on his tongue.
Yeah. So staying in character. And he said that Cameron Crowe, because he's a 14-year-old kid on the set of the movie.
He just stoked to be meeting all these famous people.
And Cameron Crowe told him, well, some of these guys like to stay in character. Like he doesn't want to ruin the scene basically by getting out of character and meeting you, being nice to you, more or less. Yeah. And that the actor basically says like, I was 14 years old, and to this day he's like, I don't really understand method acting. Like, what?
What's the point?
What's the point of
ruining? He had a great quote.
It was like very valid. He was ruining
your day to day or your relationships with other people just for this small thing that you're doing for work.
But again, Randy Quaid does a really good job. And I remember the first time I watched this, it's very uneasy. You're like, this guy's going to snap. Yeah, he's going to snap on these kids, or he's going to something fucked up is going to happen, which it does.
Well, I mean, it was super awkward too, because like Charlie goes in and just instantly is like telling all of like, his war story to his friend, his buddy, who's sitting in the corner. Jimmy's going like,
all of his
he was in Quezon and
he's the only one that didn't get shot.
Right. And meanwhile, like Randy's like sitting there on the couch, just like, holy shit! Like you could see the look on his face. He did a great job.
He did a fucking fantastic
job in that
job.
very short role. And then he goes, "Okay, I got to get up and go to the bathroom."
Yeah, and but remember at some point he looks at Jimmy and he's like, I don't ever, you don't ever want to be in the situation that I was. Some shit like that. Like he gets to Serious Town, and then he goes, I got to go to the bathroom. There's some beer. There's some beer in the fridge if you want it.
Yeah. Jimmy follows him over, kind of cracks the door
to say goodbye.
And sees that Randy Quaid's character Charlie is shooting heroin.
In the bathroom.
Yeah,
and then they leave.
And we go from a movie that's trying to be some weird, fun-loving, like high school fucking teen sex romp comedy
to a serious
fucking like PTSD.
Ain't no joke.
Shit, man.
It's wild. And then this
movie does not know what it is. It does not know what it is.
No, it doesn't.
Belongs.
So
at all.
Bill, while he's at the bowling alley, goes and gets food in the bar restaurant area, and behind him is a booth of cops. And he overhears them talking about, there's like, where's Dave tonight?
Oh, he's Bill? That was Bill.
It was Bill. And he's like, he's banging that girl over at the donut shop. And Bill loses it.
I was completely tuned out at this point.
So he gets in his car and he drives straight over there. And that's when Anita's like, I'm tired of you coming here just having sex with me. We don't go out on dates. And that we forget that there's a scene where she ends up going to the cop's house.
Right.
To be like, because her friend Eileen or whatever is like, just go to his house. Because he's like, he doesn't show up all the time. He stood me up the other night. Just go to his house and have a talk to him. So she drops her off. She knocks on the door. Who answers but Nancy Wilson of Heart.
Yeah.
Who is his wife.
Who's wearing a shirt that says baby on it.
Yeah.
And then a big white arrow that's pointing down to her belly.
She's pregnant. And her
and she's got a
4-year-old kid answers the door. And she's like, where's Dave? And she's like, and who are you? And she's like, well, I can't remember what she says. But she's like,
she tries to play it off, but the wife, played by Nancy Wilson, like completely knows what's going on. Yeah.
And so she goes, she's like, I'm such an idiot. I should have known all this stuff. So when he shows up at the donut shop, she's like, you didn't tell me you were married and all this stuff. And she kind of breaks it off with him, at which point Bill shows up and he like tells the cop to get out of the car. And this is another example of he tells the manager at his building that I'm not paying more money. Like, this isn't what we agreed on. And I'm, screw you, basically. Then he goes to here and he calls the cop out of the car. He's like, get out of the car, dude.
Yeah.
And dude's like,
and then he tries to take a swing at him and
misses.
the cop like just completely puts him in a fucking, in a hold.
Yeah.
And puts him down on the trunk of the car.
And then at this point, like at some point during this, Bill goes, I could tell, like you could be the one getting arrested because you're fucking a fucking high schooler.
Yeah.
And so at this point,
which again means that she's under 18, right?
Which means she's under 18, I would assume.
Yeah.
And so he's basically like, oh shit, this dude's right.
Yeah.
So he gets in his car and drives off. Well, this is the point where Jimmy put his little smoke bomb, whatever it is,
propane canister
under the cop's car, and he drives off and it blows up, drives into the donut sign. That guy got what's coming to him, and Anita is like, oh, that was so nice of you to stand up to me. And so happy ending, they decide to
go back to their apartment,
start dating
or
again.
his apartment.
And he's like, you got to come see my apartment, to which they get back to. And what is going on? A giant rager, because Tom, the fucking asshole friend, is being Tommy again. And, that's when they destroy the whole apartment.
Yeah.
They break through a wall and do all the shit.
You know what we've barely talked about?
What's that?
Is Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis is Eileen's boss at this super uber hip clothing store.
It's like the Cube at the Bon Marché. That's where she works.
The Cube. Oh my God, I forgot about the Cube.
She works at the Cube at the Bon Marché, and if you're from,
it's called Erickson's.
If you're in the Seattle area, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and Rick Moranis is her boss. This is another thing that kind of
his hair. His hair in this
ridiculous.
movie is absolutely
it's
ridiculous, but also phenomenal.
Yeah.
At the same time.
It's like this massive pompadour thing.
Massive pompadour. But it's also pompadored
in
off
the back. Yeah. the first time you meet him, he's got this like combed forward permed thing.
Yeah.
And then the next time you see him, he's got this giant pompadour situation going on.
Oh.
And the weird thing is he hates Tommy. Like rightfully so. As he should.
Yes.
Because Tommy shows up being a dickbag to Eileen and fucking up her job every time he shows up.
Constantly fucks up her job.
And Rick Moranis, his character is basically like, that guy can't come around here no more. Like, it's just, can you not have him come around? But then he tries skeezing on her.
Right. Yeah, he tells her they're sitting in a different department, like a furniture store.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to have you.
I want to have you is what he says.
Yeah. Oh, no, he says, I wonder what it would be like to have you.
Oh,
that is some fucking gross shit.
It's some gross shit. And
could you ever imagine yourself saying that to a woman?
No.
Even back in the 80s.
No.
Can you imagine it?
No.
What the fuck?
And
I wonder what it would be like to have you.
She's really cool about it.
Yeah, she's like, oh no, I don't feel about you the same way.
And he's like, okay. Pretty much.
Yeah,
He doesn't.
That's about it.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Again, what's the point? What is the point of this?
No point. No point whatsoever. It's just life, dude. It's just real life.
Yeah, I guess that's
Cameron Crowe just writes from the heart. He knows what's going on in kids'
that's
lives.
how life is. Yeah. That's basically the movie.
That is basically the movie.
That's it.
And it is like a 6 hour long romp.
Yeah. And the
Is
whole
what it felt
time,
like.
it's got awkwardly placed Eddie Van Halen,
dude, the
guitar and synth music with a drum machine.
Okay, we debated this a little bit.
Yeah.
So Eddie Van Halen did the soundtrack.
Never had done a soundtrack before. Some of it is way too fucking guitar lick heavy. Oh, yeah. So,
like,
my understanding
too
is
much.
Cameron Crowe wanted a Van Halen song for Fast Times, but never was able to get it.
Got it.
And so he came to Eddie and said, "Hey, I'm doing this movie. Can you do like the actual, the soundtrack, not Van Halen music, but can you create a soundtrack?" And he had never done it. And so he had just built his home studio, 5150. He had just finished it. And his engineer, Don Landy, they went
Who's
in.
also credited as doing the soundtrack for this movie. Yeah.
He basically late nights was in there all fucking drunk, noodling around and creating this music for this movie.
Yeah.
The thing is, usually when you score a movie, you have the completed movie, or at least scenes, and they come to the songwriter.
Yeah.
Especially if it's orchestral or whatever, right? Like they have it playing up on a giant screen, and they start writing the music to it, and have moments of it spiking with the editing of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think he had the luxury of any of that sort of shit with this movie.
I kind of doubt that.
I don't think he did.
I doubt that.
My understanding is that he got bits and pieces, and it was such a fraught sort of filming of this movie that it was like, okay, here's the scene, here's the kind of music we need. There are some, whatever musical choices that he made, barring that, there are some jarring cuts where, the music just goes wham, it ends, or it just goes from one scene to where wham, the music is just starting. It's really abrupt.
No, I get you there.
Weird.
I get you there, but I think he still had that thing in front of him and was able to watch at least some of it while he was playing. I just think he was like, he didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, I'm sure
like
he
he's
didn't.
just not good at scoring a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those songs became Van Halen songs.
So at least two of them became Van Halen songs, and the one song didn't become a Van Halen song until their last album, like 2012.
Yeah, so it was like he was just working on fucking bits and parts.
There's one song, there's two songs here that are like actual full pretty much full music.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. No lyrics, no singing or anything.
No singing or anything, but like
drums, bass, guitar,
and it has a a melody and a tune and a obviously a chorus part that goes back into the verses or whatever. There's like two songs, but the rest of it is like seems like noodling. Yeah,
just absolute
weird.
Noodling. Yeah,
and what's also weird is, like I said, I think whatever version we have here, we have none of the pop music songs that are listed.
Right,
at the
which
end
is
of the movie.
too bad because I think that would have made it better.
Way better.
Yeah,
because I think that they started repeating a lot of his music in scenes where that probably wasn't.
And this is where we were debating, like, because we couldn't really remember because this movie is so fucking forgettable. We couldn't really remember if there was actually like different music in place of that, or was it just Eddie Van Halen's guitar noodling that was put in place of a lot of the music that couldn't be re-trademarked or rebought.
Looking at the list of music that's at the end of the movie,
there's a lot of great songs.
There's a lot
there.
Like, okay, Huey Lewis, Prince, Madonna, Bananarama. That's 4 alone. Those are 4 songs that are replaced by other music in this version.
Yes.
And some of it is the Van Halen shit because it was just the easiest thing to do.
I guess so, right?
Because it's like, we already have the rights to this shit, put because you hear the same songs over and over, which is not uncommon in movies because usually there's a theme.
Yeah.
Like this is so like, Princess Leia's theme or whatever it is in movies. Like it's not uncommon, but It does not work in this movie.
No, not at all.
There's shit in this
Not
movie
at
where you're
all.
just like this does not fit. This does not fit here.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think that was a huge detriment to this version of it, I guess. I would be very curious to see like the original version with all the original music in it.
I don't know where I don't even know where you'd be able to see it at this point.
It probably doesn't exist,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, this was before VHS, wasn't it?
No, this wasn't before. This came out on VHS, but I don't know when it came out on VHS if it still had all the same music. I have the Laserdisc version of this movie.
You do?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's like
Why do you have that? Why do
so-
you own this?
because it's me, dude. No, because I remember again as a kid renting this and watching this. My older brother rented it, and as an adult, I was like, I wonder if that's as bad as I remember. And I came across a Laserdisc version of it. And I was
So
like,
you do
oh,
remember this being bad? Like when you were a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, even as a kid, I thought
this is not a fun movie.
Because, again, my brother got it. He was like, dude, it's the guys that did Fast Times. And we watched it. And the whole time we were thinking, at the end of it, I was like, that ain't like Fast Times. That's not fun.
So I think
as
if
a kid,
saw,
I don't
if
know.
I saw this as a kid, like the only thing I would have been looking forward to was the nudity. Right.
Well, of course.
And so that probably would have clouded my judgment.
Yeah.
As a child, to be like, oh, this movie's great because there's at least 5 scenes with boobs in it.
Right.
And there's some butts. Right.
Yeah, I'm sure I remembered it because of that stuff too, but I just remember seeing it and not like liking it as much as Fast Times, but not really knowing why. And so when I came across it in a like a Laserdisc were being fire sailed back in the day.
Yeah.
I came across it somewhere used, and I was like, "Oh, that fucking movie!" When I was a kid, and I go like, "Yeah, I'll buy it." It was like $2 or something, so I bought it.
Okay,
and was like, "It can't be as bad as I thought it was." At the time, I had no idea that Eddie Van Halen did the music to it. But later on in life, I was like, "Oh shit, he did the music to that." So I bought the Laserdisc, watched it once. Guy, probably in my early 20s, and was like, whoa, no, that movie's not good. Not good. But I don't even know if that Laserdisc version has the right music either.
Yeah.
I mean, my understanding is you cannot, on physical format, you cannot get this movie with the original soundtrack. That's my understanding.
Not surprised, but a little dismayed by that.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see this with because I think that would, I definitely think
absolutely
it would add something to this movie to have some, I don't know, some better music playing in some of these scenes. This movie fucking sucks.
It really does. I mean, it's
I mean, there's some definitely some scenes to remember, you know.
Sure.
Like just weird little idiosyncratic stuff where the scene that's on screen right now where Eric Stoltz is finally growing some chest hair and is coming back to the property manager, and the property manager is just eating cottage cheese. Yeah. Like that's pretty great.
He's in a leisure
pretty
suit.
Fucking great.
He's in a leisure suit with a giant map of the property behind him.
Eating cottage cheese out of a cardboard fucking, like one of those old cottage cheese containers. Like with a plastic waxed
spoon.
Cardboard with a plastic spoon. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah.
And then all the scenes where people are literally eating cigarette butts.
So
many
times.
scenes where people are eating cigarette butts.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's insane. Oh my God. Okay. Well, what do you give this thing? How many Blu Its?
Fuck. 1.5.
I'm giving it a 1.5 as well.
1.5.
I think it's a
maybe
1.5.
Maybe 2. I mean,
I would say maybe 1.
Yeah,
like I would go down.
Probably
from there.
1.5. I mean,
yeah.
The thing is about this movie is it has such an all-star kind of cast from the 80s.
Yes.
Eric Stoltz, Leah Thompson, the kid from Weird Science, a Penn. Rick Moranis, Randy Quaid. I mean, such a classic 80s cast. And then also, fucking Cameron Crowe wrote it. So it's like, and it should have this monster soundtrack with it, which it doesn't. But it's just that exactly what early 80s teen movies are. When you watch something like this, you really realize how much better John Hughes was at this than anyone else of that time.
He was the king.
Yeah,
he was
and
the absolute king.
They were all trying to do that same thing.
Everybody was trying to tap into that vibe that John Hughes had, but nobody could actually do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and I will say, without this movie, Singles would not exist, because I think this is kind of like, this was his test run, Cameron Crowe's test run for Singles.
There is some, it's almost like he wasn't old enough yet to, like, the idea of young adults starting their life outside of high school. You're right. It is like a test run for that. And he maybe wasn't mature enough yet to really, to grasp it, understand it, and make something that I mean, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
because he would have been in his mid-20s at this point, right? Or early 20s when he wrote when he wrote this.
Yeah.
So I think without this movie, Singles would not exist, and this, maybe it is worth a watch.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell
people out here,
and that's the other thing.
For you crow heads.
Yeah, and giving it like 1.5 stars. I mean, I would.
It's still watchable.
Here's another example. He stands up to his boss here. We forgot about this. So the end of this movie, this kid's story arc is like, he stands up to the apartment manager. He stands up to his boss. Yeah, Bill, Eric Stoltz. And he stands up to the cop that's banging his ex.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's his story. He's become an adult, I guess.
Right.
Maybe. But yeah, I would want to tell, check it out. Just for the time capsule of that kind of movie, like for anyone listening, like you were saying, like I wouldn't say don't watch it, No,
I say it's fairly watchable. It's just, boy, strap in for a very long ride. It's only, what is it? Only 101 minutes or something like that?
Look at it, but
it literally feels like it's like
so
2
slow,
hours,
man.
2.5 hours.
It's so slow.
Because it really doesn't go anywhere.
No.
So, I did not like this movie. At all. I give it 1.5 Blu Its, and I guess we'll just end this thing with a quote.
Oh, you know what the quote has to be?
I know exactly what it has to be, and you're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it together.
No, because I can't remember it.
Come on, it's the catchphrase.
I know, I can't remember it.
1, 2, 3. It's casual.
Cut, Brett.
It's casual.